We want one more person?
Sorry.
Yes.
Can I come? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we also have a third speaker, I beg your pardon, and that's in the person of Thomas Ovart. That's the Deputy Head of the Financial Services Policy Department, the Ministry of Finance of Estonia. A round of applause for them. All right, so as you can see, we are being joined remotely by the moderator and our other speaker. I'd like to now hand reins to Monica. Kindly take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Monaco. I'm calling in from Brussels. I am a consultant here. I work in European regulation since 24 years, and I've been working on MiCAR in the last 3 years and a half. So I'm very, very pleased to have in my panel today the EBA, Mr. Zhmelyov, CONSOB, Mr. Astori, who is part of the ESMA Digital Finance Standing Committee, and Mr. Howard from the Ministry of Finance of Estonia. So it's the ideal panel for someone doing my job, because I can ask directly what's going on and which is the state of play to the main actors I've been working on and for in the last years. So I will start with, so thank you for being with us today, and thank you for being in my panel. I will start with the EBA, with Mr. Zhmelyov. There is a lot of interest in the industry to understand which is the state of play of the ABA mandates relating to MiCAR and which is the current schedule of it. We are all following the public hearings. We are all following the consultations. So I would ask you to please explain to us a bit today which is the status and which are the different mandates and how these are developed. I understand you have a presentation, so I would welcome the presentation to be shared, please.
Thank you very much, Monica, and good morning, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here virtually. It's a bit unfortunate that I'm joining virtually and not physically in my hometown, but still, nevertheless, I can be with you virtually and go through some background information. And basically, what is happening in the EBA, MiCAR is all quite new, and the whole crypto world is quite new, but it falls into the heart of our work on financial innovation and the digital regulation and monitoring and assessment of the risks and opportunities in the EU banking sector. So if you look here on the EBA strategic priorities for 2023 and 2026, basically you have MiCAR featuring in 3 specific areas. We have the single rule book, so that's the heart of the EBA activities. We are developing consistent regulations that applies across the European Union, and MiCAR is part of the single rule book, and all our 20 mandates which we have to develop under MiCAR is also part of the single rule book. Then under MiCAR as the EBA, we have the supervisory activities. We will be supervising significant issuers of asset reference tokens and e-money tokens. So it's another priority for us to set up the MiCAR supervision and oversight under the other flagship initiative, Digital Operational Resilience Act. And then last but not least, we have a focus on innovation, and we want to increase the focus of innovation. So the world of crypto, which is inside MiCAR, and everything which is outside MiCAR, like this decentralized finance, comes into this focus on innovation. So MiCAR is in 3 areas, priority areas for the EBA for this year and then for beyond. Now, speaking about the MiCAR tasks for the EBA, we have, as I mentioned, policy mandates to develop. So we are developing single rule book, which will complement the existing text of the actual MiCAR with additional technical standards and guidelines which we are developing. We will have direct supervisory roles of the issuers of asset reference tokens and e-money tokens, which are determined to be significant. We are also mandated to promote supervisory convergence between 27 national supervisors. And we have been doing so far in the banking sector with the banking supervisors, and this work under the MiCAR regulation and in the MiCAR supervisors. And to tell the truth, that in many member states in the EU, we still don't know who will be these MiCAR supervisors. There's the process of the designation of the authorities to be competent for the purposes of MiCAR is still ongoing. So that might be new supervisors around our table, and we will be promoting convergence of the supervisory practices across them. Then we have also the tasks of promoting convergence in the classification of crypto assets. As you're perfectly aware, not all crypto assets fall under the MiCAR. And then basically, if there is a token, there will be a new token emergent for the EBA. It will be tasked to issue opinion whether what type of token it is and whether this token falls under the MiCAR and under the applicable requirements and regulation. Plus, we have also the convergence in the classification of crypto assets for the prudential purposes, which comes from the Basel Committee, and it comes from the banks' holding of tokens for their own purposes. And then that will relate to the applicable capital requirements for the banks. And last but not least, we also have quite exciting powers which we have not used before in the past in the EBA. And I recall that EBA have been in existence for more than 10 years, and the MiCAR gave us also a possibility to exercise product intervention powers in relation to the asset reference tokens and e-money tokens, and including those tokens which are not in the scope of the EBA direct supervision. So we will be supervising the issuers of significant tokens, but the product intervention powers, and meaning that if there's something dodgy on the market that is not in line with the requirements set out in the MiCAR, then we will be intervening and trying to remove these tokens from the European market. And that's in the scope of the direct supervision and outside of the scope of the direct supervision of the EBA. So quite a lot of interesting tasks for us. And here you see basically the time span of our preparations, where we have started already extensively working on the policy mandates, building the supervisory capacity, and preparing also for the supervisory tasks, including the monitoring of activities, supervisory convergence, what I was mentioning before. So this is what we have, and I guess that you will get the slides after the meeting, and I will be also recording that, so I will not spend much time there, but I'll go probably for the next one, because this is actually the question: what is happening with our policy mandates on the MiCAR? And we have 20 of them to deliver, and we are working extremely hard across the EBA in cooperation with the competent authorities, so in cooperation with the supervisors across the EU, and in cooperation also with the colleagues in ESMA, as this is important point to keep in mind, that the MiCAR has different requirements, and the MiCAR requirements cover both the issuers of the tokens, of the asset reference tokens and e-money tokens, but they also covering so-called crypto asset service providers, and we may have the entities which are willing or will be so-called crypto asset conglomerates, which are both issuers and also crypto asset service providers. And the split of the responsibilities under MiCAR is for the EBA to look after the issuers, and for ESMA to look after the crypto asset service providers. And as some entities may be both issuers and asset service providers, we work very closely with our ESMA colleagues here. So all our policy mandates, for the sake of managing also our own resources, but also engagement with the industry, with you colleagues, and also considering that for many of you, the regulations, the work of the EBA, technical standard which we're developing, and engagement with the supervisory authority may be quite a new task. So to help facilitating that, we split all our mandates into the batches. And the batch 1 was already published early in the year. We have consulted on that, and now we are working on the analysis of the feedback and the finalization of that. And batch 1 covered the most important emergent things like authorizations, acquisitions of the qualified holdings, and also the complaints handling procedures. Batch 2 we have recently published. We just published the batch that last week, and here you have the standards on the internal governance, suitability of the members of the management body, which we developed together with the ESMA colleagues, remuneration, assessment of the white papers for the credit institutions and for the issuers of asset reference tokens. So here we have published it. We are in the process of the public consultation, where your responses are very much appreciated by the end of January, 2nd of January, and we will also have a public hearing on all these standards. So you're very much welcome to join the public hearing if you go to the EBA website. And also there is a link on this slide, which is not visible, but it is there. So your responses are very much appreciated. Now, batch 3 is being readied for the public consultation and for the finalization. So batch 3 focuses on the prudential requirements for the issuers, prudential requirements in relation to their own funds, reserve of assets, stress testing. We also cover the reporting requirements here, recovery planning, and supervisory colleges for the significant issuers of asset reference tokens and e-money tokens. And here we plan to launch a consultation in November. And that will be our work in 2023. So you will see that out of 20 mandates, we will aim at delivering 18 mandates by the end of the year. Well, we will be publishing for the consultation, not really delivering. And there will be also the batch 4 of additional elements, which will be launched in something in late November, something in the beginning of the new year. And that will be conflicts of interest management, redemption plans, which is similar to the resolution plans in the banking area. And there are also some longer term mandates. So I should have mentioned that most of our mandates are for us to develop within the 12 months, because the MiCAR requirements, MiCAR has been already published. It's in force since June 2023, but some provisions will be applicable for the issuers of ARTs and AMTs from June 2024, and then for CASPs 6 months later. So we need to be ready for all of that to be applied, and therefore we are speeding up with the publication of the technical standards this year. Now, this is just maybe for you not familiar with the policy development process. We have several stages, and it is extremely important to keep in mind that there is for the standards and for basically any policy product which EBA is developing, it is extremely important for us to have the engagement with you and to hear the views. So apart from the preparatory stage where we develop in the consultation paper, we have quite extensive consultation stage where we consult on all our standards for at least 3 months. We organize also a public hearing. So we want to hear opinions on the questions which we are posing, but obviously in every consultation paper from us, you see direct questions on the specific provisions, on the specific chapters, on the specific formulas, for example, but you also are more than welcome to send general feedback, what you think is important to get across to our table. And this is the stage 2 of our policy development process, the public consultation. And based on the public consultation feedback, we are finalizing the policy products. So we are developing what so-called final reports with the final text of the technical standards and the guidelines. We have a thorough scrutiny there with the competent authorities, with our board of supervisors, which is EBA's highest decision-making body. And then we publish from our side. And if we talk about technical standards, we are delivering them to the Commission. So then there is another round of scrutiny on the European Commission side, and adoptions and translation into the national languages. And then we are into the application. And the work doesn't stop there for us. So we are also supporting the practical application of the technical standards. We monitor, work with the supervisors to see how things are being applied in practice. And we also run what we call Q&A mechanism. So if you have also the questions regarding how the standards work after they have been finalized, so through our website, you can post the questions to us into the Q&A, and then there will be a formal answers. Not immediate, it takes some time, but at least there will be answers to help you with applying the standards and the guidelines in practice. So this is important to keep in mind, and I understand that since the engagement with the supervisors and with the regulators, especially at the regulators at the EU level, may be quite new for some of you. This is important to keep in mind, that we are not doing stuff in the ivory towers. We are working together with you, with the industry, with industry representation bodies, but also with the individual institutions. And we want to engage with you on specific policy topics. And as I also mentioned, MiCAR brings quite a lot of new things, not for us and for the sector in general, not only from the perspective of the regulation, but also from the perspective of the supervision and engagement with the authority. So this is also quite a big challenge for us in the EBA. This is the first time when the EBA will be giving we'll be getting direct supervisory powers, because until now we did not have such powers. We worked with the supervisory authorities across the EU, and we were the guardian of the single rule book, the guardian of the regulation and the policy making body. Now we will have, on MiCAR side, we will have both policy development and supervision, and we obviously need to build the capacity for us to better understand the market, to monitor the market, to have the resources within the EBA who are knowledgeable of the sectors, and we do hire new people, and we will be hiring more people to work with that. Obviously, the expertise is scarce across the EU, especially on the supervisory side, but we will be looking there, and we are getting ready. We are working also on various coordination initiatives across the supervisors. We're trying to look at the potential authorization cases and applications for the authorizations together. So we're pooling resources in the supervisory community. So it's not only one authority is looking at authorization, that we try to bring experts across the authorities and also across the EBA to analyze the cases, to analyze the authorizations, and to have consistent approach across all member states. So if you're thinking, applying, and trying to apply in different countries, and to see whether there will be some better treatment in one or in other countries, we are trying to prevent it from our side. We are working together from the early stages of the application and adoption of MiCAR. We've issued already early in this year the statement on supervisory convergence, calling for the authorities to prepare and also for the industry to prepare, and also advice for you that if you are thinking of issuing at the moment token which is resembling the tokens under the MiCAR asset reference token or e-money token, then think already now that in more than 6 months time, slightly more than 6 months time, you will need to be compliant with the MiCAR requirements and the requirements of the technical standards from the EBA for those type of tokens. So you need to already think now and try to ensure early compliance with the upcoming requirements, because this is in your interest in a transitional period. And we're doing the same for the authorities. We're all preparing together for the application, as I said, working on the authorization and application cases together, building capacity, building training. We have a quite far-reaching training initiative across the EU, sponsored by the European Commission, what is called Supervisory Digital Finance Academy, where we try to train supervisors and ourselves across the EU. And I know that many of the industry representatives have been also engaged as trainers in the Supervisory Digital Finance Academy. So we are working together with the industry on building the capacity for the supervision. And I stop here. There are also some references which you can find on our website, and I'm happy to answer any Monica's questions and also your questions, colleagues. So many thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Shmelyov. Thank you for a very comprehensive presentation. Being cautious of time, before I start asking questions, I will have Mr. Astori and Mr. Hours presenting themselves. In the meantime, I can ask the audience to put in Slido any question they may have for the speakers, so that after the first round of presentations, I can ask the questions that will appear in my, as soon as you put them in Slido, will appear here in my chat in the call. So thank you very much. Very interesting. 20 mandates. It's a lot of work, but for you and for the industry, because we are going to also reply to all the consultations. Mr. Astori, moving to you and to ESMA and the ESMA mandates. Which is the state of play for the ESMA mandates relating to MiCAR, and which is the current schedule? I think this is also extremely relevant for the audience to hear about. Yeah. So I will leave you explaining all this to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Good morning, everybody. I have just a quick presentation, probably something I can skip, just a little bit of background, because already said by our colleague from the EBA. As you all know, MiCAR has been published on the 9th of June 2023, and as we already know, from the 40th of June 2024, the first part of MiCAR will be applicable. So the title fourth on the asset reference token and money token, that is what the EBA was talking about before. And then on the 40th of December 2024, the whole package will be applicable, so also the rules on crypto asset other than, so different from asset reference token and money tokens, and the rule on CASP and detection and prevention of market abuse. So if you think about when the MiCAR has been proposed by the European Commission, so in 2020, 3 years is not such a big amount of time for preparing such a big pieces of regulation, but a lot of things happen during these 3 years. As we all know, in the crypto industries, new products emerge, and also some crises emerge, and we need to prepare and get ready at the 40th of June with quite all the level 2 and level 3 measures. As already said, MiCAR includes a substantial number of level 2 and level 3 measures to be delivered before it's entered into application, and there are delegated acts that will be drafted and adopted by the European Commission directly. Then there are regulatory technical standards, implementing technical standards, and guidelines to be drafted and adopted by ESMA, and the same for EBA. And as already said by the EBA colleagues, cooperation is key. MiCAR requires ESMA, EBA, European Central Banks, EIOPA, and the European Commission to cooperate in the preparation of the implementing measures. As already said, there are 2 sets of guidelines that are prepared and adopted jointly by the ESMA and Europeans and the EBA. And there is also one guidelines that will be drafted together with EIOPA, ESMA, and EBA. And in any case, also for the mandates that are given to ESMA or to the EBA, in a lot of future, collaboration is required, and the regulation requires a coordination effort. As already said, the number of mandates is very important. If you consider all the original proposal by the European Commission prescribes, I think, 24 mandates, and now the official text more than double the original number of mandates. And the deadline is quite tight, because most of the measures have a deadline of 12 months, and some guidelines, an 18-month deadline. So ESMA prepared an implementation plan that foresees 3 consultation packages to be released in sequence, starting with the level 2 and level 3 measure with the shortest deadline. And the third and final consultation package will be published tentatively in the first quarter of 2024. So let's take a quick look of the published initiatives. The first consultation package has been published on the 12th of July 2023, and the consultation closed on the 20th of September 2023. It includes proposed rules on the content, format, and templates for identification by certain financial entities wishing to provide crypto asset services. So as you all know, MiCAR prescribes a different regime for traditional intermediaries, for banks, investment firms that wants to provide crypto asset services. There is a notification regime instead of a license. And in this package, there are the draft regulatory technical standard and implementing technical standard on this notification. There are also the draft RTS and ITS on the content, format, and templates for the application of authorization for crypto asset service providers. As you all know, this will be a big change in in the current setup of the industry. There will be the need to obtain an authorization, and ESMA prepared so the draft RTS and ITS specifying the information that crypto asset service provider will need to provide to their national competent authorities to get the license. It's important to notice that in drafting these draft RTS and ITS, a lot of lessons have been learned by the recent crisis by some players in the crypto asset industry. So there is a specific focus on the transparency of group structures. There is a specific focus on safekeeping requirements and on the management prevention of conflict of interest. In the first consultation package, there are also rules on compliance handling procedures. That is an important tool for protecting investors and the holders of crypto assets. And there are also rules on the prevention, identification, prevention, management, and disclosure of conflicts of interest by CASP. And lastly, there are RTS on the intended acquisition of qualifying holdings of crypto asset service providers. Then the second consultation package has been published on the 5th of October 2023 and is still going on. So you can provide your feedback. The consultation will close on the 14th of December 2023. And in this case, the package includes proposed rules on the content, methodologies, and presentation of sustainability indicators and adverse impact on climate. As you all know, this has been a very hot topic during the trialogue. Especially the Parliament proposed an approach particularly restrictive on this topic. And at the end of the day, the regulation includes a lot of transparency on this topic. The transparency obligations are applicable both on the issuers or on the offerer and the person responsible for drawing up the white paper, but also on the crypto asset service providers. And you will find the proposed rules in this consultation package. Then there are rules on the continuity and regularity in the performance of crypto asset services. It is important to notice that crypto asset service provider will be subject to DORA. They will be, so all the ICT requirements are prescribed by DORA and the level 2 measure of DORA. So in this package, there are only the rules on continuity and regularity in the performance that are not ICT related. Then there are proposed RTS on the pre- and post-trade data to the public. Basically, these rules are drafted having in mind the MiFIR and MiFID obligation applicable to investment firms. But in drafting this draft RTS, also the peculiarity of the crypto asset industry has been taken into account. Especially in this case, feedback from the industry is very well received. Then there are rules on content format of order books, record and record keeping by crypto asset services providers, which is key in order to detect market manipulation. And then there are rules on the machine readability of white paper and the register of white paper. As you all know, the white paper is a transparency document that has been around the industry for a long time, but now it will be a legal document, and MiCAR requires it to be drafted in a machine readability format. So here there are the rules, and there is a prescription to set in IXBRL. And then finally, there are rules on the technical means for appropriate public disclosure of inside information that is linked to the detection and prevention of market abuse. As already said, we also have another consultation package that will be released tentatively in the first quarter of 2024, and there will be rules on the qualification of crypto assets as financial instruments, the proposed guidelines. Then there will be proposed rules on monitoring, detection, and notification of market abuse, and a set of guidelines on investor protection topics, specifically the reverse solicitation regime. As you all know, MiCAR prescribed the possibility for four-country firms to provide services to EU clients through a reverse solicitation regime in a very strict way. Then there will be rules on the suitability assessment for the advice and portfolio management services, and policy and procedure for crypto asset transfer services, including clients' rights. It was already mentioned that this is a new service that is closely linked to the payment services, even though it's not a payment service. And in these guidelines, you will find some clarification. And lastly, there will be rules on system resilience and security asset protocols. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Astori. Extremely informative and very, yes, they agree with me. It was extremely informative and very precise. Thank you very much for this. Mr. Howard, the National Draft Act for the implementation of MiCAR. How is this progressing in Estonia? How is the work in general progressing? It's extremely relevant for the industry to know. So I leave you explaining to us how your work, the practical implementation work and the practical work on the National Draft Act is progressing in Estonia. Please.
Yes. Well, at first, it's also my pleasure to be in here to speak with you our plans in Ministry of Finance. Yes, I am someone who is also involved in Ministry of Finance preparing the National Implementing Act transposing MiCAR in Estonia. And in this respect, I have also some slides to show you. So sorry about that. You have also here a lot of, or seen a lot of slides, not having interactive discussion with each other, but I try to be as brief as possible with my slides. I have two different slides. So to start off with my first slide, well, actually in here you can see the substance of the regulation in force today and the future regulation. So in the left side you can see that current regulation is mainly focused in AML, and I believe it's pretty common in all over Europe. And today's designated authority in Estonia is FIU. But on the right side, you can see that in future it will change. The designated authority in future in Estonia will be our Financial Supervision Authority. And the main reason is that, as you have heard already from the previous speakers, that the key word related with MiCAR is investor protection, and several provisions in MiCAR is pretty much not the same, but inspired from the securities market regulation, especially MiFID. So that's the main reason why there will be a shift in supervision authority in Estonia. But regarding the context of our implementation act, then on the right side you can see that there will be several references to MiCAR. We do not overwrite the MiCAR text in our national law, but for kind of educational reasons, we had some main references to several MiCAR provisions, especially to definitions, and this do not mean that we have some kind of our own definition of crypto assets in Estonia. It will be the same as it is stated in MiCAR. So in this sense, we are not making any sort of gold plating or go beyond of MiCAR. But still, MiCAR, according to our understanding, provides some room for member states to come up with their own rules. And on the right side, on the bottom, you can see what kind of rules we are preparing, which are not regulated in MiCAR. At first, we are going to regulate it. We are going to regulate the activities of our CASPs in third countries, as this is not touched in MiCAR. There will be a requirement for authorization if you want to do business in third countries. Secondly, there will be some basic reporting and accounting rules, but those are more like a technical nature. Thirdly, there will be some type of company law provisions, especially related with the management and the supervisory body of companies. What can you be able to establish in Estonia? And also there will be some special rules for division, merging, or in case of insolvency, some specific rules for those type of businesses. And of course, we are providing a kind of ordinary toolkit to our FSA to make efficient supervision, and also the possibility to stipulate penalties if necessary. And finally, in this respect, there will be a new authorization fee and also an annual authorization fee. For the moment, I can say that authorization fee most likely will be 300 euros, which have to be paid to our FSA. So it feels like it's not such a big sum for those kind of businesses. There have been a question previously from market participants. Is it possible that we somehow transfer the license which have been issued by the FIU into the new license issued by the FSA? The short answer is no. There is no possibility to make such kind of trade-off, as those supervisory bodies are totally independent. Their financing basis is different. For example, our FIU is financed by the state budget, but our FSA is totally financed by the market participants. So unfortunately, there is no possibility to make such kind of trade-off. But what I wanted to say is, according to MiCAR, there is one provision which foresees that different supervisory bodies should make cooperation, especially financial supervision authorities and FIUs. And in this sense, it may help in some extent if you have already received the license from the FIU, and in future, if you applying the new license from the FSA, that they exchange the respective information. And I don't want to say that if it makes it easier to get the new license, but it may help in some sense. And on the down, you can see also this is not only about the MiCAR. We will also have in the future a new AML package, which will also change the game quite a lot, but I'm not going to touch this issue right now, as considering I have no time, so much time to left to cover my next slide. So move on where we are in regarding the timetable of the new implementing act in Estonia. Well, we published our draft act during summer, or yes, I think maybe second half of the summer. So this means that the first consultation round is basically over. We have received a bunch of feedback, and for the moment we are analyzing this feedback, and our message is, if the comments or proposals what market participants and also other several involved bodies have made to us, if there is a clear rationale, we considering to take this into account, preparing the new version of our draft act. And according to the current timetable, we feel that we submit the new version of the draft act to the second consultation round in the end of this year, meaning that our government and parliament are able to adopt the new law in spring, I think in next year, and then the new law will come into force in the middle of next year, meaning that at first in the middle of next year stablecoin issuers are able to submit their license application to our FSA, and also credit institutions and e-money institutions are also submit their respective notification to our FSA, as they are not required to some extra authorization, as they already have the authorization by our FSA. But I think what is more important in terms of deadlines is end of next year, where the CASPs already also operating CASPs are able to submit a license application to our FSA, but well, actually, if CASPs today already thinking to get the new license, we try to encourage you to have kind of consultations before, and also our FSA, to understand more what kind of information they need in order to get a license. So I think it's quite important to have some such kind of previous consultations with our FSA, starting, for example, in the mid of next year. And the last point in here, point 5, regarding the timetable, is related with the grandfathering clause, which is foreseen in MiCAR in Article 143, meaning that operating CASPs or VASPs have some extra time to fulfill the requirements of MiCAR. According to MiCAR, this deadline is middle of 2026, but member states have the possibility to shorten or limit the time period. And I think in our previous presentation, we heard that ESMA is actually recommending for member state to shorten or limit the grandfathering clause. I can say that we haven't made a final decision in ministry what will be the ultimate deadline. Is it 1st of July 2026, or is it for example, the beginning of 2024? It will be decided, I think, in the end of this year, but well, it depends. Let's see. So I think it's all from my side right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Howard. Very omnicomprehensive and interesting presentation. We are left with 3 minutes, so I will give each of you 1 minute to just, I'm sorry I can't take all the questions from the audience because there are plenty and we don't have time, which is a good sign. It means what we were discussing this part was very interesting, but we have 3 minutes. So I would allocate 1 minute to each of you to just give one comment about what is the most important aspect of MiCAR in your view, if you have to choose one, that industry should be attentive to. Of course, there are more than 3 aspects, but if there was one, the first thing, one advice from each of you to industry, very quickly, which is the aspect they must focus more on, in your view? Of course, it's not going to be omnicomprehensive, but it's already giving an hint to industry. Who wants to start? We have 1 minute each, huh? So I'm counting the time. Who wants to start?
If you want, I can break the ice. I know it's not that easy. I think it's a matter of a change of mentality and embracing a compliance culture that we all know that already from the player in the crypto industry there is, but will be necessary at a higher standard. And so prepare to it and engage with your NCAs, as ESMA stated in a recent statement published 10 days ago by the chair. Engage with your NCA, prepare to the transition, and prepare to do a lot of compliance work, but it is worth it.
Thank you. Very positive message and absolutely spot on. Mr. Howard, Mr. Shmelyov?
Shall I go ahead? I totally echo the point on compliance culture, and this is quite a seismic shift, I would say, for the industry for the industry and for the supervisors, because you have new market and quite a, I would say, comprehensive regulation which comes with the authorizations, applications, with the reporting, with the supervision. Supervision is on-site, off-site, so something what the industry haven't seen before. And this is important to protect and to protect the consumers and to ensure also the financial stability in the sector and in the union. So I totally echo that this will be new, and the better and the sooner we collectively prepare, the sooner you guys start engaging with the supervisors, the better it is.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howard.
Yeah, well, I think it's not easy to point out one of the most important issue, but I think for businesses, at first it's important to understand is actually their business will fall in the scope of the MiCAR, or actually maybe there are some gray zones what MiCAR do not cover, as you have to take it into account that MiCAR is a whole new universum compared to the current regulation, so it's a huge challenge to be ready for. But on the other side, MiCAR, the main merit what comes from MiCAR is a single passport. What you are receiving, it's I think one of the most important benefit what MiCAR provides for those kind of business in Europe.
Thank you very much. This was a fantastic panel in my humble view. So I thank you, my speakers, to be in the panel. And I thank you, the public, for interacting so much with all these questions we are afraid I couldn't ask. So next time we should allow 3 hours for this panel. Thank you very much for your attention.
A round of applause, please. All right, thank you very much, Monica. You'll be back for the 3rd session because you're moderating that as well. It's now time for us to have lunch. We'll be back in this room at 12:30. So I will call you in. Don't worry, you're going to hear my voice again when it's time for you to come in, so we can continue with the 3rd session, which will also be moderated by Monica Monaco. We'll be back shortly.